All right, hey guys. All right, now what I was about to say was we're gonna talk about Wandavision, and we've been waiting on it for quite some time. Taste buds, if y'all been here before, y'all already know that I've been waiting on this show. I ended the last stream that I saw you guys for a full stream to go watch it, and I watched both episodes. It kicked off MCU Phase 4, and luckily I got two of my homies back to talk with it about me, with us, with you guys, with Tech, with Ben Sawyer, Sketch Sawyer. They're both going to be on a call. Let me get them in here, and we can kind of talk over it because I'm sure we've all seen it before. So I'm not going to have the volume like blasting. I'll just have it to where we could talk over it. So either way, and I know you guys are probably delayed a little bit too now that I think about that. I'm sorry.
A little delayed, but it's all good.
Yeah, it's like
So what were y'all expecting going into this show? Like, I'm expecting like this whole Bewitched kind of I Love Lucy, jump through the generations, but like it was very subliminal. Like, I'm thinking we were going to have like kind of a raring to go, but it was super, kind of like subliminal in the way they delivered it. But it is here, right? We got 2 episodes to see what they were kind of like gearing for and what like is being offered to us now, right?
yeah.
What was some of you guys' like initial reactions to those first 2 episodes? And we don't have to go episode by episode. We can kind of go freeform because that way I feel like we save less time. We're assuming that everybody out here has seen both episodes, right? And someone said 2 super short episodes. Giltal says 2 super short episodes.
In which they're supposed to get longer as they go.
Oh, let's go!
Oh, I didn't know that.
That's what the rumor is. So.
Man, so it is exactly what I expected, which is kind of weird because I don't know. I feel like the trailer did a good setup, letting you know this is TV land,
Yeah.
And I'm kind of glad they were short because while I was intrigued, I was kind of bored.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Like, it's interesting, it's creative. I like what they're doing, but I think it's a trickle right now, right?
Yep,
slow
definitely true.
Yeah, and if you see the trailer, like, it's obviously gonna get wild. And but the last thing I'm gonna say for my initial thoughts was that I didn't notice until somebody mentioned it that the 2 episodes were different in theme, even though they were both black and white.
Yeah.
So the first one was very Dick Van Dyke.
Yeah.
And the second one was more very Bewitched.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and then obviously at the end of the second episode it turns to color, so we're going forward again.
Yeah, and even in the trailer,
I didn't notice that till after it.
Even in the trailer, the final trailer, you see a Brady Bunch episode. So
Yeah.
they're gonna probably run through the gamut of the sitcoms, which I'm not in love with that idea.
Really?
I was never when they announced WandaVision, I wasn't excited. Now, pandemic and the last offering from the MCU has been Far From Home. That made me excited. Like, I'm excited now because I've been starved of MCU. Wasn't excited, and the expectations that I did after watching it, just like Ben said, the first episode I was kind of bored. I'm low-key super tired because I stayed till 2 o'clock in the morning to watch it because that's when it premiered here. But it was boring to an extent. But then upon my second viewing, I'm really focusing on what they're saying. The whole thing is loaded. Every phrase you hear, every conversation, every line of dialogue is on purpose, and it's loaded.
I see y'all with the noise taste buds.
First viewing. You're accepting the sitcom. You're accepting it being a sitcom, and it's just tropes. But everything they said, peep this, bro. In episode 2, the mystery cabinet is literally a Affinity Gem.
Wait, what?
Look at the front of the mystery cabinet, and I didn't notice that until the second viewing. It is literally an Infinity Gem.
Yo, so I will say I have not had the chance to watch my rewatch episode yet, so this is all news to me. I'm using this is context when I go back and go to my second viewing now.
Bro, I wrote so many notes on the second episode and quite a bit on the first episode. The very first line to me is amazing. My wife with a flying saucer, my husband with an indestructible head. Right?
Mm-hmm.
So that to me signifies aliens, which is what they accounted for the first time together. And then the second line is his head was not indestructible.
Right.
Yeah.
No,
So,
that was definitely a big call out to like where they came from, right?
yeah.
Yeah.
And then there's another line from the neighbor that stuck out to me: how to treat your husband to keep your husband.
Hmm.
Like, it's a line I glossed over the first time. But the
I'm,
second time
I'm
you said it, I was
you
like,
blowing
oh,
my
shit.
mind right now, because literally I
my
remember
God.
like it kind of said something to me because at the when Vision said they were like in the bed the one time, and Wanda went to check out what was happening. The whole time once it was done, he says she asked Vision asked
my
Wanda
God.
if she preferred it this way, right? Like he was more submissive, right? Like and I caught that the first time, which I thought was odd, right? And it seems like the whole show is very suggestive, right? Like suggestive, like it's really. And I'm like, man, what are they? It's like they're pointing in so many different directions at the same time. That's what's keeping me interested. Now, I'm not gonna say that I wasn't a little bored, like watching like this first episode. I was just like, all right, give me the punchline now. And I think that's just because we're used to having like the movies have to go a certain pace, right?
There's a rhythm to it.
Right. And I feel like this is very indicative of the rhythm and like the time of this taking place, right? So what I'm reflecting back to is some of the things that they were doing, like when the dude choked, right? When the husband choked, right?
One of the
It
most
seemed
powerful scenes.
right. So it just seemed like
Super weird.
it was really weird, right? And it was even more weird that it happened the minute this person seemed to like question the reality, right? And that's not the first. That wasn't the only time it happened,
Oh
right?
my God.
Like that was not the only time it happened. The other time it happened is when, Wanda felt like, the other guy's wife when they went to the party, right? They went to the dinner party, and she got really like kind of like into Wanda. And they were like, yo, we got to impress Betty or whatever. And when she did that, she cut her hand almost instantly. And I was like, that's kind of odd that now that these whoever like questions are kind of like gets to under the conscious, under the skin, something just miraculously like boom. Or like, it'll just work itself out. Like even the fact that when he got up off the ground, he just dipped. He was just like, they're like, all right, see you guys later. And it was very show-esque, right? It was very like put on, like one of those, oh my God, I can't believe that happened. And it was so drastic that it was like, boom, that's the lesson. Get out of here. We're done. So I very much feel like this show is going to be about pace, right? Which is also why they play to, how fast they're going through these kind of generations as well. So
Yeah, I think they went through the first 2 episodes. I think they released them together because they don't want people to think this is a black and white show. So I think they wanted to show it to build the story, but they also wanted to get out of the black and white as soon as possible, which is what they did.
And I think probably they know it's a slow burn too.
Mhm.
At the end of the second episode, like it kind of definitely more than the first lets you know that some stuff's on the way.
yeah,
I don't know
yeah,
how people would have felt if they didn't see that.
yeah.
If just been left the first episode, you'd been like, well, all right.
I'm gonna
So
be.
let me-
I'm gonna be completely honest, and before we go on, let me say, yo, shout outs to the homie Trey Pound. You know what I'm saying, dropping the kids off. Untamed Gaming coming through, dropping off the kids with the raids. I see you. Tantaku coming back through to the Taste Bud Sub Club. I see you. I just had to make sure the Taste Buds know we out there watching. You know what I'm saying? We watching. Also, if you guys have anything that you would like to, put onto the table so we can talk about, you know what I'm saying, discussion wise, I am more than open to that, you know what I'm saying? So just throw it out there. And this goes for the chat as well, you know what I'm saying? If you have anything that you guys feel like, and it's not guaranteed that we are going to see it because, the chat goes really fast. But if there's something that catches, my eye or, the eyes or the ears, you know what I'm saying, of either one of these gentlemen, they'll be sure to chime in if they feel like it. Once again, it's not guaranteed. Just saying that, we are looking at the chat. What's up with it, Crazy Addict? 5 months. I see you, bro.
Yeah.
So, anyways,
I
go on.
I saw a YouTube video. I didn't watch it, but there's it was like 64 Easter eggs for the first 2 episodes.
Yeah, the Easter eggs all over the place. One of
Bruh.
them I think reveals one of the villains that's going to come out in the MCU, which I don't have a huge knowledge base of.
So, go ahead, go on.
I don't want to spoil it. Like I don't want to spoil it with predictions because they may be true.
But, I mean, that's for look. We're all about speculation here. We're all about speculation. It's okay. Like before you go in though, people, taste buds. If you just got here, we're talking about WandaVision, right? And I guess I should have put spoilers somewhere up there, but we're here now. Let's deal with it now. We are going into full-blown spoilers, and we will be making predictions. But if you're a taste bud, y'all know that's typically how we get down. We make predictions, we go from there, but that will be on the table. So if you do not want to be spoiled, if you do not want to be tainted with our knowledge, scorn, leave now. Turn back, avert your eyes, because we're going full-blown. All right, now go.
Okay. So they're laying spoilers into the theme a lot. There's a fourth Thor Easter egg, and I hadn't watched any videos because I didn't want it to. I don't like doing that. I don't like watching people who like frame by frame the whole show. I want to catch them on my own. So the Thor statue is in the cartoon, and there's a helmet in the cartoon which I didn't know about until someone tweeted one of your replies, Steve, to one of my tweets, asking me what is that? Who is that? He thought it was Galactus, but it's actually a character named Grim Reaper.
Oh, okay, yeah.
I did a little bit more digging, and I've already been leaning towards Mephisto, right? Because they've been talking about it, they've been mentioning it, and in the comics books, he tells people he came from the Infinity Stones, there's two different histories from Mephisto. And one of them is the Infinity Stones.
Oh,
so
shit!
It's completely possible that he's the villain, but Mephisto and Grim Reaper kind of go hand in hand with the storyline that's very similar to what's going on here.
Okay.
So it's a possibility that's who I think the villains are going to be. And I think that because they've already laid so much little tidbits for us, right? We know this is going to lead into Doctor Strange.
Right.
We know this is gonna directly affect the actual movies.
I think this show is the subliminal hit to all the big MCU theorists, right? They want to see where this goes, right? I feel like this is one of those shows that's so far it's really undefined, right? And once again, it's still all about pacing. And I think the fact that it's more showing you some very specific things, but they're right there in front of you, and it's kind of like a puzzle for you to figure out. I feel like that's what they were going for, because that's all the vibes I'm getting. I'm like, man, there's so much shit here that it's in plain sight. And they're giving us all these random pieces, and they're trying. It's that's my interest in it. That's what's teasing my logic.
So let me tell you what I truly feel about what these first two episodes. And this is gonna suck, but Vision is not real.
Yep.
The only person who is real right now that I believe is 100% real is gonna be Wanda and Monica. The reason I say Vision isn't real is because in episode 2, the first scene when they're laying in bed, he's scared. Vision can't get scared.
Yeah.
He doesn't even know how to be scared. He has emotions that he normally wouldn't have.
Yeah, that was very uncharacteristic. I didn't know how to react to that.
And he was terrified.
Yeah.
Which they're selling it as a sitcom aha moment, but that's not Vision. And then she looks in the episode 1 at the dinner table, and when the wife, who is the lady, the woman from that 70s show, who just was the absolute one of the best actors in that episode. She killed everything. She's laughing while Mr. Hart's choking. Vision doesn't know what to do. Wanda's she's watching it, kind of just playing it out, and then she says, "Stop, save him," or
she said, "Vision, help him."
Vision, help him.
Yeah.
And she said, she did another thing in episode 2, when she just said no. When the guy came out, looked at her, and it scared her, she said no, and it rewound.
Yeah.
That's right. Yeah, I thought that was weird too.
That's what I was saying. That's why I was every time something challenges. That's why I said this. I was every time something seems to challenge, her, whether she likes it or emotionally, she literally just no. Or something happens to them. Something, it just works out. That's what happens. It honestly just works out. So even when she's kind of opening up to people, you can see that they're coming back around, right? I can't remember the girl name who was at the pageant, right? That was also at Betty's thing, and they started talking.
Oh my God.
What's her name? The daughter, the black girl.
Monica Rambeau.
Yeah, so when Monica came back around, you're starting to see these recurring people, right? And I'm oh, okay. So it's all about those people who even more so make her feel comfortable. Like, that's why I feel like they're gonna hit to the whole point. Like, yeah, I really don't know why I'm here, right? Like all those people, they're gonna come around to that association, right?
Yeah, whatever happened, I think it sucked her in too. Like I think that, and she's confused the fact that she doesn't know who she is, so she gave her a fake name. She hesitated. One of the lines in the first episode that makes me believe that this is all a manifestation of Wanda is the Miss Hart says, "Relax, honey, let them set up their story."
Yeah.
Like who talks like that?
Yeah.
What if
And she killed that role, by the way. Red Foreman's mom killed that fucking role, bro.
So good.
Like sold
So
it
good.
so well. Like, and I gotta say that, like, I don't know who is like in charge of overall casting, but the people that they put in these roles, like, I feel like they accent the main characters so well. Like, they sell it so well that I just think that that's like underutilized sometimes, and I'm glad that like that's the route they're taking.
All right, three things I want to cover real quick. First one, who somebody mentioned it in the chat, but the beekeeper. What's up with that?
Yeah, right.
What's the relevance of a beekeeper?
Maybe that's
that's a tough one.
it's like the hive mentality, right? Like either there's a queen, that's in control of this, and everybody else is bringing the characteristics to her. Imagine, like, to her kingdom. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's what I got from it. I got that, like, are these just random fucking people? You know what I'm saying? Or is this like
some Truman Show shit, right?
Yeah,
Right.
So
And then the chat's all blowing up about Sword. Everybody's seeing the Sword logo everywhere, right?
Yeah.
So Shield is shut down. This is obviously, I think Sword is running the show here.
So do you know who that voice was? Who said Wanda? Who's doing this to you?
yeah, that's what I was wondering. I don't think it sounded like Ant-Man. Like,
It's the guy from Ant-Man. It's the Jimmy Woo.
yeah, that's what I was thinking. So obviously, like, the story changes for a while because they show him in the trailer, obviously, right? I'm thinking that's them reaching in, and they're saying, who's doing this to you? So either this definitely points out that, like, she's being held somewhere, right?
Yeah.
That's what that sounded like. So see, I don't think she's here of her own will at this point, right? So
No.
it seems like now
That's
somebody's
pretty
not.
good, too.
So right, so she's not so it's not like she's the bad guy at this point, right? And I think that's what's gonna come on to the line, right? Because if she's the person in control of this, right, like, it's gonna expand as far as she controls. But if she is not aware of what she's doing, like, that's one thing. You know what I'm saying? I was thinking that this is going to be her, like, being like, yo, I want it all back. This is that and the other, right? I feel like this is somebody taking advantage of her being vulnerable because of all she's lost at this point. And, like, even the lady Agatha, right? Like, or Agnes, right? Who's supposed to be like Agatha Harkness, right? Who teaches her how to, use her magic, like, in the comics lore, right? What does this turn into? Is this something, that this character is... I want to know, like, how big is her involvement in this, and will we see, like, it play out further than just, this right here? But I guess we still need to see. There's a lot. I kind of went on a tangent there, but
There's a lot of speculation out there. People are saying this is going to set up X-Men, Fantastic Four, and then, like, all the movies here to come. Of course, it's setting up the next Doctor Strange, but we think it's setting up much more than that, like the whole fifth phase or whatever we're on.
I mean,
So-
I think everything they do is deliberate and well thought out, and I think that's why they win. So I think it's possible. This is. I mean, how do you top Robert Downey Jr. and Chris Evans? Like, how do you top like losing them? Is you create this huge, bigger universe of people that we love.
yeah.
I think they wouldn't do this if this wasn't a step in that direction.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, and they had all year to plan it out, right? And this is our first MCU show, right?
Yeah,
Oh, yeah.
ever. The first one ever.
Right. So it's gonna be huge. It's gotta set up all of it.
Wow.
Just
Like,
so
and
happens the last movie we got ended the last phase, so this is the first foray.
If you look back, because I've been psycho watching all the old Avengers movies and everything that I could, anything with Wanda and Vision, I was watching this week.
yo, real talk, I did the same. But go on. I'll get to that later. Go on.
Everything that they did from back then was set up for what happened later. Like, everything was like throwaway lines. Did you think of throwaway lines aren't really throwaway lines? So,
I
like-
never thought about that. Like, watching, like, these kind of films, right? Like, knowing that they come from comics, right? They can literally pluck all that kind of convo. Like they could just go to the comic like we can let them say this and it can paraphrase something bigger and we won't even know it.
And I think that's the reason why it hits so hard, because when Tony Stark is telling Doctor Strange, you know, he's been in my head for six years or however long he said, we were there. We know that he's been in his head, and now we have a face to it. You know, like it's so deliberate and well thought out and meticulous almost, as far as like weaving the stories together. Even the fact that Ross is at, you know, the funeral, like, you know, like he's in Civil War. It's insane.
Yeah, they definitely have, like, now, like, you know, like, I remember where people were like, yeah, man, like, it's really, it's not easy to tell where they go, but I feel like the part of the entertainment for me herein lies the fact of even trying to see where they're going to go. Because, like, if you've kept, like, even mildly attention to like the comic book era, like there's a lot of these stories that probably like you kind of like heard about in passing, and just to see how they're like weaving them together to these other like breaks, these other like generations, right? Like the fact that this is could potentially set up, you know, the X-Men or like the Fantastic Four, like that says a lot, because we don't know where they're going to drop, right? We don't know when they're going to be like, and now go, right? Like,
right. And it's so genius because they even have a House of M reference in here with a bottle of fucking wine. Like, how genius are we like setting it up?
They're just they're smacking us in the face. They're like, oh, you guys think you know? Like, you guys really think that you know? You think you know where we're going with this? I think that's the really big play. And I feel like it's a big question mark too, right? Like, these shows are going to be really important going forward, and if they're supposed to be getting longer, like I'm super interested in what they fill this with and like what they're going to justify it with. It makes me really excited for it.
Yeah, there's one thing I want to talk about that we haven't talked about, and that's the commercials.
Bro, yes.
I have a theory that both commercials represent trauma for Wanda. So the Toastmaker 2000 is a Stark Industries.
Yeah,
right?
it had that bzzz. I know it had that fucking heat up noise, and it definitely sounded like a repulsor.
Yeah.
The timer made me think of a bomb, right? Which is obviously when, you know, her and her brother, they're traumatized by something with Stark on it and a fear of it exploding.
That's true. Yep, right? That's true.
The Roch is so blatant, right? It's Strucker. His name Strucker.
The Von Strucker.
and he said something. Strucker will make time for you. Which I think is like a load. I don't know what it means, but it feels like that's a loaded statement. You saw the Hydra logo
on the watch, right?
Oh,
yeah. Oh, yeah. Just blatant.
So obvious.
It was zoomed in on it.
Yeah, it was like, yeah, you gotta see. Like, if you missed the Hydra logo, you're not even watching.
Yeah.
No, they definitely.
It's gonna come back to mean something.
No, I think it's like they put built-in ads, right? They're like, you have to, obviously you have to, but that's what I feel like it plays even more so to it, right? Because this is a blatant thing, right? But for, you know, just for the character, like, just for the show sense of it all, it still fits perfectly in lieu of the entire storyline. So you're right, man. Like, Marvel has definitely led up until this point, and I was doing the same, like, kind of retroactively, to go back to what you were saying earlier. Like, what I did was I was like, you know what? I'm not going to watch like Captain America and stuff again. I'm going to watch like a few of the sides first, and then I'm going to watch like the big movies. I didn't watch Avengers 1, but I did watch Avengers 2, and I watched Infinity War. And I just watched in between there, and I watched up to like Captain Marvel and just tried to see some of the other things now that they could have laid out that I didn't pay attention to. So those second viewings are like becoming pivotal. That's why I was like, man, I haven't even seen this a second time yet. And I'm happy that I did get to talk to you guys like before it, because it definitely gives me something to look at. I don't need it all the time, obviously, but it's just having this discussion definitely gives me, you know, groundwork to even to build my study on, you know?
Yeah, I think my second viewing made me more excited about the series. Like, way more excited about the series. Like, to see how nuanced the writing is, it's really layered. Like, the whole theme of episode 2 is for the children.
For the children.
Like, they say it throughout the entire episode, for the children. And here's another thing that I thought was interesting, which I have no idea what it means, but in episode 1, the neighbor Agnes is showing a magazine of how to be sexy or please your man. And the name of it is Glamour Magazine. And in episode 2, her stage name was Glamour, as in Illusion. So
okay,
yeah, I think that has a lot to do with it as well, or something, at least something to do with it.
No, that's and like some of the stuff that I was looking at, like one of the main things that I was looking at was the like the what Agnes was saying, right? And the way she's the only other person that kind of does like the hand thing, right? Like she'll legit like leave scenes to be like, oh, okay, and like do a little. I'm like, why is she doing that with her hands? She's the only other character that like goes back. I'm like, why is she doing that and not anybody else? And then she says this thing like, they obviously do the Wanda says the devil is in the details, right?
Yes.
Right, and then Agnes says, "Oh, he's in like all around us are in a little more than that." Yeah, and I was like, "Oh, word."
Yo, and then when they were doing when she finds the plane, the Sword helicopter, she pops up and says it's the star of the show, and then plays it off with the bunny. But I think that was obviously because it was Wanda heard it. She was like, "What?"
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Ah, man.
One
I
line
I know enough. Like all of it's just so confusing and strange to me. I'm just like along for the ride.
Yeah.
It's written so well, bro. Like if you really listen to like the dialogue, which why would they have throwaway lines? Like why would they just have pointless conversation?
That's what I'm saying. Think about how literally I had to go back. I was like, I gotta go back and like look at some of this earlier movie stuff to see what they were kind of setting at, right? Like remember in Age of Ultron when like he catches her, right? And like obviously it spins into like everything else, but then I'm watching like Infinity War and seeing that like this is very much something that Wanda thought about, right? Like they were already virtually living with each other, and just to have it like play out like this where she's completely in control of it, it is really odd to see. One and two, no, it's not odd to see, but it's really character to see. But the part two, when they're doing the for the kids thing, is also something that she wants, right? Like every time she's like, oh, well, like, and it's kind of playing to her subconscious, but in a very blatant way. Like, it's like, oh, yeah, for the children. Yeah, children.
Yeah.
Milk it in, right?
Well, she's pregnant and got a kid in the trailer, so.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
No, she has 2 kids in the trailer. Just so
yeah, she has 2 kids in the trailer, right?
Oh, shit. That's crazy.
And
So
for some reason, I'm blacking
there-
out on who are her real children in the comic books. They have 2 children together in the comic books.
Oh yeah, it's
It ended up being a manifestation from Mephisto, if I'm not mistaken.
yeah, that's the whole thing. It was Wiccan and Speed, was it? I think it was Wiccan, and I can't remember the speedster's name. But yeah, like children are definitely canon to like the story that they're telling. That's already like the thing is like they're still. This is all signs pointing to also the Young Avengers, because they have like Cassie Lang already. They have Kang the Conqueror, who could also be a major player. Like all these things are kind of leading to the Young Avengers, and it's like we're getting these sub stories, built-in stories now. Like they've already kind of like pointed us to the route, because you have these characters showing up purposefully, and they're being set up on the backbones of these characters that are directly connected to the legacy characters. So you're instantly putting like a lot of stock into what you're trying to achieve, right? It's like, well, the backstory, right? Like they're giving us the backstory while giving us another story to tell. Like it's so good to see it play out like this.
Yeah.
What are the chances that what we're seeing of Vision is all the data they got from him in Wakanda before?
From the body?
I thought about that. I thought about the fact that actually could be Jarvis like dumped out and in this system.
It's not a complete version.
Yeah.
Because it got interrupted or whatever.
But how would they use that though? Like,
well, that Shuri didn't finish or partially downloaded his brain or did get it. Like we don't know if she got it or not.
Right.
Right.
So if she downloaded it and saved it, and
and then she already said that technology was primitive compared to what she could do, so she could probably make a better version.
I think that like, I don't think that Shuri got like the full thing, right? Because so let's just say, right, this is happening because she's being held captive somewhere, right? Either they stole this foot, because like either they have Vision or they have Wanda. right? And they trying to like play it back to her. And I'm thinking back to when like she destroyed the stone. I'm trying to see where this could go, right? Like when it comes to the whole Mind Stone connection, I was like, man, there's something to that Mind Stone. Like
Yeah, I
there
mean,
has to
it's in
be.
the trailer.
Like even though it's destroyed, right? That's a fake Mind Stone. Like there's no pieces of this Mind Stone that's like maybe floating around because both of their powers come from it. Maybe it's embedded, but it just seems really odd to me
Can I
that
ask you guys, can I
Go-
say something really
go on.
that fucked my mind up? I don't think the stones could be destroyed, and the reason why is because in Infinity War, the Chosen One is talking to Banner, and she says, "What you think of the flow of time is because of the Infinity Stones. So how would getting rid of them not destroy their world?"
Yeah.
So
Oh,
I don't-
shit.
Yeah.
Like when she said that, I thought I watched it this week and I was like, that doesn't make sense. That then they'd be destroyed. So
Yeah, it's probably just showed up somewhere else, or
I mean, it would end your reality, and that's what she was saying. She was like, if you take this one stone away, our reality is vulnerable, and it would doom our reality. So how could all 6 be taken away and then not doom your reality?
Well, I mean, but yeah, that's true. They said it creates branches. They said it creates.
Then your reality is fucked.
Yeah. Oh man.
So the last we saw of her was in the new Avengers facility in like upstate New York, which they always love upstate New York, don't they?
Yeah.
But so, and it was her standing there with whatever's left of the Avengers, with War Machine and whoever else was standing there. That was the last we saw of her. She wasn't traumatized or held captive. So something has to have happened between
Right.
then and
Yeah,
now.
I mean,
Yeah.
That's what I'm thinking. I'm thinking that something happened to where either like Wanda loses it and goes into hiding somewhere, right? Obviously, like she's being held captive. It looked like, especially if it's saying like, that's what's so odd to me. It's like the people in Sword are watching it happen, and like they're placed all over. Like that's so weird to me. It's like they're watching it happen, and they're trying to get into wherever the hell she is. Like that's where my it's bumping heads for me. I'm like, how are they like
how are they watching this? Like who is projecting this?
Like who is projecting this? Like where is this coming from? So it's like, how? That's why Monica Rambeau being there. I'm like,
They're in Wakanda, and they're trying to rebuild Vision, and this is how they're doing it.
wow.
That's maybe.
And they're
Then
all
why
plugged
the
in.
fear? Because like the second episode was all about fear. Like the tone was fear, the
Mm-hmm.
noises outside were fear, the end was fear, which she said no and reversed it and went back to the pregnant announcement. Monica Rambeau said something that stuck out to me. 1 second I'm backstage and the next time in a dark cubby hole. How did you do that?
Yeah.
And she looked at Vision, and Vision says, magician never reveals his secrets. He lives that to his assistant. And then she says, and she's not talking. And she said, I knew you'd say that. And I think there's something to that too. And I think like the devils in the details came from that episode. It's literally about fear. Strucker's in that episode. Hydra's in that episode. Like, it has to be about fear, which if it was just as simple as trying to get Vision back, I don't think it would be that.
Sure. I mean, I'm sure it's setting up a lot more than that, and that's maybe just my fantasy that my my conspiracy comes true. But
That would be a happy ending if they're in Wakanda right now and they're getting Vision back. Like that's a happy ending.
Yeah.
Like nothing.
But wait, let's be real here. Let's be real here. And I feel like it's only right that we come back and we continue to touch on this, right? Every time we see an episode, we got to make sure that we come back, right, and run it, right? So, but man, I just completely lost this point because I had this little side note. Let's just say, right, like that who of us thinks that Vision is actually gonna come back from this? Like do any one of us think that there's a chance that the Vision is alive after this, or there's some form of Vision around?
I don't want to. I want to think that it is, but everything in me from the first 2 episodes says that he is not real as of right now. Like then he is not back.
I'll take whatever they give us. I also don't put anything above comics comic books or comic book movies. They literally can do anything they want, and they have a hard time letting people actually stay dead, especially the comic books.
Yeah.
So having said that, anything will happen. Man. I have no idea.
Wait, did y'all?
But I will say that it would be pretty whack though. They went out of their way to let you know this dude was dead. So.
But that would be.
They also left so many cliffhangers with Bruce saying like, "Oh, you're part of this and this. You're Jarvis and you're Tony.
Mm-hmm.
And you can live without the stone. Like that's a jewel." And then like the fact that we don't know if she saved his schematics or not, even though he did continue to fight afterwards. So she may have copied his likeness. When he's still at the end of the day, the Mind Stone gave him sentience, but he's still a computer program. So it's possible. And if Ultron could survive by dumping his memory, just in the same way Jarvis did, perhaps this could be the same thing. They can keep his core, but it would be dope to bring him back if they bring it back the right way. Right?
Yeah.
Like you can't bring him back through time, which I think they're gonna try to do with Cap. But
man, have y'all heard about that?
So what?
Have y'all heard about the Chris Evans like reportedly in talks to come back as Captain America?
I heard it's a done deal.
Still, right?
You said you heard what?
I heard he's still denying it though, right?
No, well he's denying it like playfully, but like the same way the lead actress in Miss Marvel, as she was announced as Miss Marvel, she's like, no, I'm not Miss Marvel. I don't know what this is. And like the person who's writing it was congratulating her on that tweet. So they kind of do that shit all the time, where like it's denied to be playful and thrown out. But I mean, so many sources say that he signed for more movies, which I think is great because Chris Evans is so young. Like
let that shit run, yo.
I can see why Robert Downey Jr. doesn't want to do it, right? Because how there's gonna get an age where you're like, come on, like you can get a younger motherfucker in this suit to do this. Like, why are you doing this still? But Chris Evans being so young.
We're gonna get Ironheart or something, some young cast,
already.
You know what I mean?
We already they already have the Ironheart like show coming out, so that's a done deal.
Right.
Yeah.
No, there's a man like I feel you on that too. That's why like I did pose the question like last time when I was asking if I was like, hey, what if they went further with this or like they bring these guys back and like. Is it supposed to be a legacy role? Are you leaving these characters like trapped in?
It could be It could be like sentimental shit, right? Because Captain America was in Dark World, like it could be in that aspect. It could be the What If series. So we really don't know.
That's definitely true. It could be.
Yeah, the chat has said multiple times this is just her coping with his death, But that leaves out the fact that Sword is watching somehow.
Right?
So, yeah.
Like how is it? I don't know, man.
I was gonna say, do you know it cost them $25 million per episode of WandaVision?
How is that? What the hell?
I saw that today. Like $25 million per episode.
It just looks like they're in a house.
Right, this is a closed set. Like, what the hell?
Right.
Well, yeah. I mean, you got to factor in. These are Paul Bettany, and I think they get paid a certain amount to be in this shit. So, like,
sure,
that has to factor
in. $2 million right there.
And this don't look like the CW graphics. You know what I'm saying? Like,
bro, I'm so happy, bro. I'm telling you, man. The Mandalorian set it up right. Like, and even though they could be like, right, they could be flexing extra hard. They have a black and white show to kick off, a past 10-year movie, completely successful franchise into its next phase that's possibly setting up even larger than life shit, right? Like at first this was like the bar, right? Like the Avengers, but like they're compacting so much really well into, the films that they are releasing that like they're setting themselves up for like future generations because they have two sets of eyes watching all this kind of like content, right? They have the people who are like fucking diehard snuffs, that are like, yo, I know every instance of it. I know exactly what they're going to do. And that's also part of the business and the fun of it, right? And then you have those people that are new to it, kind of casual to it, who, oddly like spend like the craziest, I feel like, scenarios that could come from this. But like, those are two sides of people who enjoy this that keeps it going for a long, long time. So that's what I think is another thing that's like really unique about how they're like putting this out there. This is like super a major thing for them to, you know, try to set up another generation by using, you know, a black and white show from, you know, these actors especially, right? Because I feel like it's crazy that Paul Bettany, he didn't even know that he was gonna come back as the Vision, right? I wonder if he knew like about his character's like progression, right? Like, do you think they told him this before he was like, all right, man, you're just gonna be the voice of a computer, right? And he looked it up, right? Do you think he ever thought that he's gonna be like, all right, man, so now you're gonna be coming back dead, but you're gonna be part of her psyche while you're captured. We don't know who's doing it yet, but that's gonna be you. Like, do you think they had that kind of insight?
I think I read somewhere or heard somewhere that someone pushed really hard for Paul Bettany to be Vision, from Jarvis to Vision. I want to say with Jon Favreau, but I don't think it was. I'm trying to look it up now, but I think they do have a vision. I think they literally set out to create this, and I think they do have the foresight outside of natural things happening, like rest in peace Chadwick Boseman. But I think it's like instead of doing like a couple movie plan like we used to get, right? Used to get like 3 movies and it was done. Like, you know, like it was a big deal when a movie had three films and it was amazing. And I think they set out with the goal of, let's top that. Let's do better than that. Let's create something that can be 20 films deep, which is unheard of when they first dropped.
Yeah.
Absolutely groundbreaking, honestly.
Now they're setting up the next 20.
Yeah, and what we're seeing with WandaVision is a new level of like progression, where now not only do we set up a movie universe, but we're gonna bring it into television.
Yeah.
And we're gonna change the way you view TV shows and movies, right? Remember how whack it was when you're watching a Netflix Marvel show and they reference the green guy, or
Right,
or red, white, and blue,
hella ambiguous.
Yeah, like you were like happy they mentioned it, but then it kind of hurt you as a fan. Like, motherfucker, say Hulk. Like, what are you doing?
Yeah, that's what you wanted, right?
Crossover where we looked in the sky and we saw them, or we wanted like actual cameos. Like, that's all we wanted out of those shows was legit crossover, and we never got it. You know.
Bruh, I'm gonna tell you right now, as a kid, like, I've dreamed about an Avengers movie. Like, I was like, if you give me an Avengers movie, we can do anything, right? And like, the fact that they have went this route, like, completely taken aback from it, right? Like, I never thought that I would see a show that was headlined with Scarlet Witch and Vision in actual media, like, where they're spending $25 million an episode. Like, who's like, first off, I have to say bravo, goddamn, because it's like, for me, like, we always make this joke where it's just like, man, how do they fuck up these adaptations? Like, how do they do this when they have so much lore to build from? But I think the problem was that none of those people were reading comics. They just know the character. They know what Batman looks like. He fights crime, rich guy, parents die, boom. He's got these cool villains, run it, right? I mean, I feel like shit, DC's still doing that. But like, Marvel is taking like these very hardcore stories and not even like, in some instances going full blown, but they're interweaving like so many different narratives into so many things that, like, it's not even like a witch hunt thing. It's more like, hey, like, how much can you spot, right? And that kind of gears, right? It's like we're feeding that machine. We're feeding the machine because we speculate, right? Like, we give up all of that because we're instantly showing the interest, but it's because we know where it could go. And for me, I'm like, yo, you got my money forever now. Like, if you could keep this going, like, I don't ever see a point where, like, if done correctly, why they can't push this to the 20 years. And I feel like at that point, like, what franchise would have done something like that? I don't think there would be there's no other movie franchise ever that has done that, right? And they already, that's what I'm saying, right? Like, they've already kind of stepped on the competition. Like, well, look, not only are we're not even only spending it to a movie series, we're gonna put this shit on, like, on TV, you know, as a premiere fucking show for people to watch and, you know, take in to see what's happening. I can't wait to see the numbers on this shit. Like, I really want to see what happens from this. I'm hopeful that it's good. I just don't know how the world is gonna like take this in. Let's just say, like, let's remove our, you know, fan bias here, right? And this goes for the chat as well. Do you think the general audience is in here? Do you think the general audience is running that back? Do you think that this is something that can hold, you know, the general consumer? Like, let's just remove the comic book guy completely, right? Do you think as a consumer of, hey, come watch this on Disney Plus, and then as a casual fucking I just learned about Marvel person, do you think this show is going to be a success in any regard, or do you think it's going to fall flat?